I seem to really like building tall towers. I built a tall hypertube tower, and now we've been building a tall oil refinement tower. I think I have a problem. So last time we built up 2 of our oil nodes and solved our problem for power for the time being. But, as always happens, this created another problem that we need to solve. Blue rocks. Currently I just have them fed into storage boxes where I manually delete them, but that needs to be changed. So after deconstructing all of the temporary setup, I tried to connect all of the output to one conveyor so it can be sent up in a nice looking way, but the game had other plans. Okay, I'm sorry, hold up. Okay, so this can't go to there, but it can go all the way around to that one. Man, they're forcing me. I'm trying to make it look nice, right? You guys can see that. I'm trying to make it look nice. They're not allowing me to. Okay, see, now don't look over there. If you look at this side, it looks fine. We just don't look over there. And with that, the transportation of polymer resin is done. Now we have to figure out what to do with all these blue rocks. Also, I'd just like to mention this power cable here. I went through the very long process of separating all the power that's coming from the power plants and all the power that's being used by the rest of the main grid. So if anything ever goes down, I can just separate the power plants from the main grid and it'll all be fine. I purposely programmed it this way because last time when I had to do it for the cold retroactively, it was way more painful. Anyway, with the 180 blue rocks per minute being made, we can have 1 residual plastic and 3 residual rubber refineries. But before we can start thinking about setting up the refineries, we first need to bring some water up. Now luckily, I have a lot of water around me. However, it's 100 odd meters down, which is what I would call a decent amount. To bring the water up, I just pumped it up in a straight line, which doesn't look very good, but you know what they say, if it looks ugly but works, who gives a shit? That is a saying, right? Anyways, we ended up using 2 water extractors and a metric fuck ton of pumps. Seriously, I had to use so many of these, I don't know how they work properly, I'll have to sit down and learn it one day. I tried keeping the pipes as straight as possible, but you know, keyword tried, and some close calls after. Water stops your fall, right? Okay, lesson learned. It needs to be deeper than this. The water transport was done. Now comes the part of the process where we actually have to make the refinery setup. When it comes to wiring everything up, we have 2 different lines to make, the fluids and the solids. Doing the fluids first makes most sense, and since we have such an excess of water coming up, we can just kind of feed the water into the machines in a choo-choo train system. I forgot the name for it, god damn it. When wiring up the solids, we have 2 options. The first is to split it off into its required components with a total of 60 going down there, 40, 40, 40. But that would be really annoying because I'd have to split it off in like 3 ways. It's just really annoying. So the way that we're going to do it is just equally feed the items to all machines and backlog all of them so that in theory they'll stay full since the output should match the input. But since pipe splitters can't be placed above the ground yet, I'm hoping this is going to come in a future update, this whole area is going to look very ugly, but as they say, out of sight, out of mind. So if we just don't look back here again, we never have to worry about it. While I was building this, the blue rocks backed up enough and brought down my entire power network. To fix this, I had to jump start my system with so much biofuel, which is something that I don't want to have to do again, but thankfully now that this is done, I shouldn't have to, until we need to upgrade the power system next. Look at that block of industriousness. Isn't that what people like to see? Isn't that what people find appealing? Just a whole row of machines doing things? No, just me? Okay, alright. To deal with the item backing up problem, I created some very temporary storage while I built the proper bulk storage at the base of the tower. The bulk storage is only designed to hold plastic and rubber, so hopefully we should never run out of space. And I was expecting moving items from the temporary to bulk storage to be an easy task, and it was, it didn't take that long. I swear, one of these times I will make a nice looking conveyor system, like right now actually. While I was connecting all of the vertical conveyors to the boxes, because I had the space and the time, I managed to make lovely right angled conveyors. One thing I don't like about these is how there is just an empty wall segment. I'm pretty sure I saw something for a wall hole in the fix-it shop, so I'm going to go back and check. Okay, so here we are at the awesome shop. Now I have to go to walls and conveyor walls. Ah, this is what I want. I think, at least. Bio, lovely. Now we can go back and make some upgrades to the main system. When I came back, I tried to put the wall in, but where I placed the vertical conveyors meant that the walls wouldn't perfectly fit, so I left them alone for now. But, more importantly, I put in a door. Yay, door. Now I can put a ramp, I guess. Nice, look at that, lovely. a proper factory with a door. That's what makes it official. And after adding some hypertubes to go between levels, I also discovered the wall nodes. The wall nodes! Look at the wall, they're tiny! Oh, that's really cool. Still acts as a normal node, it's just on the wall this time. Okay, so luckily, literally the day I'm recording this, the Satisfactory 1.1 update came out, and with it we get these two things that I'm really looking forward to. First, personnel elevator. I can get up and down the factory quickly, amazing thing. And then other thing, conveyor wall holes. So now I have to get some of these coupons, and then once I have these coupons we can, pick up that stuff. Okay, so one thing I did not realise is how expensive these coupons were. For some reason I thought this would make 10, and then I read it properly. And it turns out we have a long time before we get any more coupons. So it's a very kind of temporary setup. I have this concrete that comes from our concrete production because I don't really need much concrete. I have a decent amount of it, I don't think I'm going to need much more. So I have it just kind of feeding into there. So I guess once we've finished the main construction, we can come back to this place and see how many coupons we have and if we can actually afford that thing that we want. I was just looking through the hypertube stuff to put a hole in the floor right here, and I found this stuff. This is so cool! Now I've dealt with 2 of the 4 oil nodes and used them for power and some item production, but now it's time for the other 2. Before we think about setting up production levels though, we first need to collect the oil together and send it up the side of the building. Grouping the oils together was very simple, but sending up the building was a massive pain, and I don't know why, but as I got higher, the pipeline hole floors just didn't work properly. So I had to start snaking the pipes around, which, definitely didn't add to the look. Not that there was much of a look there to add to in the first place, but I don't know. The description of the lookout tower says it's a good vantage point to look at your factory. I have a feeling this was designed for more rational people's factories, because I don't think that this is giving me a good vantage point on anything happening over there. With the other oil nodes being sent up to the top of the tower, we can now think about what we want to do with the oil. Thankfully I didn't combine both of the oil pipes into a singular one, so I used one pipe per level. For the first level we had a total flow of 240 meters cubed per minute of oil, and since both the plastic and rubber productions take 30 cubic meters per minute of oil, we can place 8 refineries on this level, which luckily just about fit on the platform. I thought that sending the items down and combining the outputs of the levels would have been easy, and in theory it should have been. You can put conveyor mergers on the vertical conveyors, but extending the conveyors upwards was for some reason hard to do. I ended up having to remove all of the vertical conveyors between levels and redo the entire system again. You'd think I'd remember this when it comes to doing the next layer, right? Right? Oh, please don't tell me I have to do this all over again. Anyways, before we actually start working on the next level, we have another problem to contend with: heavy oil residue. As we've been making more refineries, we've now got about 120 meters cubed per minute of heavy oil residue just waiting to be used. And alongside the residue from the above floor yet to be made, we actually have 180 cubic meters per minute. But when I was making this, my counting skills just went out the window, so I came up with the number 240. Don't ask where it came from. But by the time I realised my mistake, it was way too late. I was editing this video. So I just left it as it is. Eventually we'll sort the problem out with some overclocking, but that is a problem for another day. Splitting the oil amongst the 4 refineries nets us a lovely 160 cubic meters per minute of pure refined fuel. With all of this fuel there are 2 things we can do now. Option 1 is just make more power, but I think that we have enough power for now, so option 2 is probably going to be what we go with. It's based on a suggestion in the comments of the last video, where we package some of the fuel and use it as an alternate fuel source for our jetpack, meaning we don't have to use biofuel ever again, with the rest of the fuel being used to make more power. But before we can do this, we first need to unlock packaged fuel in the hub. Alright, cool.
Milestone reached. Avoid the embarrassment of placing liquids in your pockets only for them to spread across your suit. Package and unpackage them with the packager. Packaging fluids allows them to be transported in your inventory, on conveyor belts, and by vehicles. For increased, non-pocket related fluid storage, you can now use the industrial fluid buffer.
Oh man, I was curious. I wanted to see how many Christmas stars we've produced until now, and then I looked, and they turned off the Fixmas trees. Because it's not Christmas. Makes sense I guess, but that sucks. I was kinda hoping they would just keep them going throughout. 228 stars. That's not a bad amount. I'm happy with that. With the canistered fuel unlocked, we get a new building, a packager. Right, so packaged fuel. So we need 40 empty canisters per minute and 40 fuel per minute. To get empty canister we need 30 plastic and we get 60 out. Since the plastic production we have makes 40 plastic per minute, we can overclock our constructor to make 80 empty canisters per minute. This 80 can be split into 2 packages to make an equal 80 packaged fuel, which only uses 40 fuel per minute. So with that 80 fuel that we have left over, we can have another story of these alongside our canister fuel, whatever it's called, production. So I guess now what we have to do is set all of that up. The question is, will it all fit up here? Short answer, yes. Long answer, it's a very tight squeeze. It's not much longer an answer, I'll be honest. To get everything to fit, I had to move pipes above other things, which wasn't a major problem since I built each layer 9 stories tall, so I had more than enough vertical space to play with. I then had to use my Tetris experience to get all of the packages to fit. After that was a simple job of adding in a 3rd vertical item transport and a big black box to put the packaged fuel in. Okay, so I've finished all the work over there, and as promised we now get to see how many tokens we've earned. 18 is a decent amount. It also just dawned on me that since we now have a 3rd output with the packaged fuel, we could have actually done well with the conveyor walls because, you know, that now works for us. But anyways, we've gone this far, might as well go all the way. So conveyor wall hole and now a personnel elevator. Alright, bye all. There we go.
Due to Pioneer request and several reported issues with staircases, there is now a more efficient solution. The Fix-It personnel elevator ensures optimal safety by putting a Pioneer in a box controlled by a rudimentary AI, specialized in soothing a straining mind. Exposure to a Fix-It personnel elevator is recommended to be a minimum of 2 minutes per day for optimal gain.
A minimum of 2 minutes per day? Wow, yeah, I have a feeling that I won't be using this elevator much more now. It's one of those things which would have been really useful while I was building it, but now I'm done building it. It's just kind of, you know, redundant at this point. Hey, these guys respawned again. I didn't think they were supposed to do that. Okay, now you're dead. So upon closer inspection, I think this is what they were actually guarding, this thing right here. Let's see what the person says. It says. No? No comment this time? Oh, okay. That's new, never had that one before. Oh well. Now we're back to work, we can add in the conveyor wall holes. Man, it's such a small thing, but it adds so much to the entire build, you know? But with that out of the way, we can now add in the elevator. So, remember when I said that I don't think I was going to need any more concrete? Well, it turns out I really do need more concrete, but because I sent all my concrete to be used for the tokens, I've run out of it now. So I have to wait for a while to get more concrete. Man, I feel like a poor person again. A poor Satisfactory worker, waiting for concrete. I could upgrade this entire setup, but nah. Surely I won't need concrete that much again, right? To add in the elevator, we need a lot of silica, but the problem is we don't have any automated production systems for silica. So this meant I had to go on a quick side quest to break some breakable quartz nodes, you know, the small little ones, to get enough for a full height elevator. And with the silica gathered and the power connected, we can enjoy some calming music during our ride to the top. Oh yeah, I also switched over to the fuel canisters instead of the biofuel because I had 10 in my inventory, so I was like, you know what, why not? I think the main benefit is that they last for longer. I actually ended up taking this first mock-up of the elevator down because the top floor just ended up in the air, so you know I made it so the top floor actually ended at a level. Now we can put in these stops that we need to put in. Elevator floor stop. Floor. Okay, I think that's all the floors that we can have set up properly. And now we just have to set up the second elevator so we can go from the top of this to the top of the top. Right, now we can choose where we want to go. Let's go to this floor. I don't know what floor this is, but I wish you could name them. That'd be a cool thing they could add names to these, so instead of having 72 meters, 108 meters, you could have it like, I don't know, first, second, third, fourth floor. Oh, this is so much nicer. Now let's go to the top floor that this thing can go to. Look at that. And with that, the elevator and the project as a whole are complete. Now we have an oil refinement system in a singular vertical tower, because why not? And that adds another pointless build to our arsenal, one of hopefully many more to come.